Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're playing against a bot programmed to play chess just like me. Here's a list of some of the parameters that it uses to imitate my gameplay. You can play this bot yourself over on my website at iwantcheckmate.com. There are no ads or accounts, just chess. My goal is to defeat myself, I suppose. Let's get started with game number 1. Alright, we'll head over and select my bot, and we are brought to a very iwantcheckmate themed battleground. Now, I could sit here and try to outthink the bot from the get-go and try to think about what my personal weaknesses are, I suppose, and how I could use those against the bot, but I'm gonna play the first game completely normally, and if it really comes down to it, then I'll try and outthink the bot in maybe a secondary game. Okay, we are met with bishop to f5. It's frankly annoying me a little bit, even though I know it's programmed to play exactly the way I play. It's still quite funny to see a perfectly symmetrical London system set up on the board, because two players can play a London system directly against each other, and neither really has anything to lose by doing so. So I guess he's going to really stick it to me and show me how similar he is to me, but I'm going to immediately challenge this bishop on f5, and look at that, he elects to play pawn to c6, so he does understand that I play a very consistent London system, basically at every opportunity that I get, but now I'm going to take this bishop, and his pawn structure is going to be a little bit loosey-goosey. I'm going to keep developing my pieces, and later down in the game I should be able to take advantage of how weak this pawn structure is. We're met with bishop to d6, he challenges me as well. I have a couple of different options. I could throw the knight onto e5, I could trade off the bishops, could also just drop the bishop, oh, arrow's as good as ever. I could also just drop the bishop back. You know what, I'm gonna drop the bishop back because that's what I would play against a normal player, and I wonder if he's going to be prone to taking that bishop at all. Okay, no, he plays knight to e4 instead. I was gonna say, because I usually would play bishop to g3 against another player, so that should the bishop take, the pawn takes back, the rook sees down the semi-open file, and when that opponent castles, you know, there's a very easy target there on the king side to start my king side attack, which he also has as a parameter. He likes king side attacks, but I'm not going to castle, so we'll see what he does about that. We're met with knight to e4. Let's go knight to d2, challenge that knight in the center, and continue our development. He does in fact take. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take back, and if he dares to castle the king, then I'm targeting h7. We're met with knight to d7. I can't really play knight to e5 in good faith because knight takes, pawn takes back, and that pawn is really not hanging on by too much there. It's really hanging on by a thread. If I ever play pawn to f4, then I have doubled pawns that are also maybe backwards. e3 becomes a weakness, and I don't really like the look of that whatsoever. So maybe something like queen to c2, and I'm wondering if I can get away with something like, I was gonna say pawn to g4, with the idea of undermining this knight, but he preemptively plays pawn to g6, preemptively defending that pawn, and even though I do still stand by the statement that this structure is a little bit loosey-goosey, he's hanging on just fine. I'm going to play, okay. Again, I don't want to play this first game trying to outsmart my own bot. I want to play this first game normally how I would play a game. The problem is I'm struggling to do so because he refuses to castle, which is quite funny because that's what I'm doing. I also refuse to castle because when I do castle, that's usually when I commit to an attack. Okay, I'm going to play pawn to b4 and grab some queenside space, and also buy myself a little bit of time because I'm really hoping, okay, we're met with pawn to h5. I'm really hoping that he castles into it at some point, because this is a really easy sort of structure to attack. So maybe if I grab a whole bunch of queenside space, it'll be more inclined. Okay, no, he's definitely not castling kingside, because what the heck is that? Pawn to g5 is extremely aggressive, but I haven't castled yet. So I could hypothetically still castle this way, but obviously we have a couple of problems there. First of all, I've gone ahead and opened up a whole bunch of space on the queen side, and second of all, we have knight takes f2, which forks the rooks. That is, if I were to castle. You know what? I'm gonna mess with the bot. I'm just gonna play king to e2 directly and see what it does about that. We're met with pawn to g4. I think it's going to insist on a kingside attack, which is fair. I wonder if I should drop the knight back to e1 so I can reroute to, you know, a couple of more reasonable, stronger squares, but it'll take a couple more moves, or if I should just drop the knight on h4 right away, and then I'm looking at pawn on f5. Right, if knight to h4, the pawn on f5 is weak, but then there's something like queen to f6, which just defends the pawn, and that knight is kind of in prison there. However, if I play knight to e1, I'm looking at nothing on that move, but after knight d3, I have the option of f4, I have the option of maybe e5, and I definitely have c5 as well, so I think I like that a little bit better. Pawn to h4, you son of a gun. Okay, he's going to attack me regardless of the fact that my king isn't physically actually on the king's side, and he still hasn't castled whatsoever. He hasn't even bothered to play queen to f6 and then queenside castle. He's just attacking my king immediately, and I really don't want to take that. Wow, arrows are getting worse by the minute. I really don't want to take that. The more flustered I get, the worse my arrows get. I really don't want to take it because rook takes, queen takes, and that is a death sentence on f2. If I have g3, then queen h2, and he can persist. I suppose I could also just trade off the knight. That might get rid of a whole bunch of headaches, but I can't trade it off right now because then the pawn would control all of these squares, and my knight would be trapped. But then again, I can't move the knight either because he takes. Oh my goodness. Wow, is this what my opponents feel like when I start just throwing pawns in their face? Because I bet that there's a refutation. There's no way that this is that concrete. There has to be a refutation because I know for a fact that it's only playing these crazy aggressive moves because it knows that that's what I play. I play crazy pawn attacking moves. I have a predisposition to risk pawns as if they were basically nothing, as long as it means that I get an attack on the king. So even though I know there must be a way to stop this, maybe I just need to think outside of the box. f3 doesn't work though because knight takes. Wow, I hate being on the defensive side. I mean, this should be a good thing because it means the darn bot is well put together, but it's still antithetical to the channel for me to get checkmated. I'm the one that's supposed to be getting the checkmates. Holy Mother Mary. I mean, I guess if he gets the checkmate, he's an extension of me, so maybe that still counts somehow, but that feels more like excuses. Okay, I need to survive this. What if I take? I really don't want to, but maybe it'll trade off some pieces so the attack has a little less oomph. And then after something like pawn to g3, queen to h2, I have knight d3. And that knight, has to abandon its dreams of moving forth in the position, but it is still defending f2, which is what's currently being attacked. And then maybe eventually I slide the rook over and make some sort of great escape. I think that's reasonable. I'm going to take that pawn. Oh, pawn to g3 is possibly the most annoying thing it could play here. Because if I do take, obviously the knight takes back, there's check, I drop the rook. And the worst part is I know that it's doing this to me because this is what I do to other people. That's crazy. Okay, what if I play f3 and boot the knight? Knight to f2 attacks the rook, but it can't be concrete because I just moved the knight, or rather, move the rook out of the way, and this knight is kind of trapping itself. Not to mention the pawn on f5 drops behind it. I could also just trade the knight now. No, but again, pawn takes back and my own knight is trapped for no reason. Okay, we're throwing f3 onto the board. It does in fact play knight to f2. That's pretty amusing actually. Okay, if rook to g1, what do you actually have there? Rook takes? Queen takes? I don't think either of those lead to anything because I can just take this pawn for free. Is that okay? That might be fine for me. Well, it's not like I really have safer places for my rook. I could also play rook to f1. Maybe that's marginally safer because there's no future idea of like queen to h2 targeting my rook. But the whole thing is frankly very sketchy. Okay, let's just go rook to f1. We forfeit the pawn. Oh, it still has not taken my pawn. Pawn to f4. Oh, it's trying to open up my king is what it's doing. It's doing whatever it takes to remove these pawns surgically from in front of my king to try and get an attack going. I despise being subjected to my own playstyle. This is abhorrent. Can I play pawn to e4 and close everything up? Because right now my mission is stop his attack at all costs. Because if not, he's going to keep attacking me the way that I attack people, which is relentlessly. So we're going to play pawn to e4, I think, here. And it still leaves a couple of weaknesses, but we keep everything in the position actually closed. Pawn takes, that's okay. I'll take with the knight, and then we get rid of this knight on f2 as well. Do we trade off into an endgame? I think I'm okay with that. I'm going to take back with check. And I think with that, we have weathered the storm. This son of a gun has decided to also play king to f8. We have now both not castled our kings. Very brotherly of us. Okay, a couple of ideas we have to be careful for here. Obviously, my king is still in the center, so something like queen to h2, rook to e8 would win the queen, or rather lose the queen for us, win the queen for our arch nemesis over here. On the other hand, I could just take on f4. If the queen takes, if the black queen takes on h4, we could trade off queens, and then something like knight to d3. I think that's a very playable endgame, so I'm going to go ahead and just take. Queen to e7 puts my king in check. Can I play queen to e4 and try and get it to trade pieces? I'm going to. If this bot plays anything like me, it won't trade queens because I would never trade queens in this position. Ah, there you go. Attaboy. Queen to f6, much better move. Looking for rook to e8 and trying to win the queen. Okay, but I can stop it with king to d2, and then I just have like knight to d3 to continue the game. Okay, a5. There's no way he's going to insist on an attack. The attack is over. You tried. You tried your best. I'm trying to convince my own bot version of myself that that the attack is over. I have a funny feeling he's going to disagree and try and rip open the pawns from in front of my king again, which means I need to start trading off pieces. So let's go knight to d3. He does in fact take. If I take with this pawn, I have a weak d4 pawn. If I take with the knight, though, the knight has no future on any of these squares and would have to waste a tempo coming back to reorient itself. So I think I'm taking with my pawn on b4. Knight comes out to b6. Not really sure what it's looking for here. I think I can play queen to e5. And again, I really want to trade queens. No! I'm actually a newborn that was born yesterday. I was born 4 seconds ago with how I'm playing right now. Knight to c4. Oh, you're kidding me. That's it. That's basically game over. I mean, I can play king to c3, but I lose the queen. Have I let my evil bot version win? Because of, I bet I was winning that too, all because of a silly blunder. That's so bad. Queen goes back to g7, and frankly, I would play this out, but realistically at a 2100 level, it's not going to let me survive this. Let's maybe try a couple more moves. That is devastating. Okay, I can take that though. That's free. Rook comes up. But again, this would mostly just be me torturing myself for no reason, so I'll go ahead and concede this game. Let's go ahead and try that one more time. Okay, game number 2. I don't even think that I actually have to outthink my bot here. Maybe what I'm going to do, okay, it's such a lazy way to do this, but I want to guarantee this victory. I think what I have to do is play a very hypersymmetrical game of chess, which I can guarantee because I know what it's going to play. I know it's going to play a London system, which is all that I know how to play. So what I need to do is just develop my pieces hypersymmetrically, trade off pieces whenever I can find it, and basically lean into an endgame as quickly as possible. Reason being that this bot, again, is incapable of making quote-unquote human errors. So again, I'm just trading off everything. We're gonna go head first into an endgame as quickly as possible. Knight comes out to d7, that's totally fine. And the idea behind launching ourselves into an endgame is that because this bot cannot make human errors, an endgame, which usually requires a very long sequence of tedious moves, means a long sequence of mostly straightforward calculable moves that a bot will eventually have to make a mistake throughout or during. It'll be a little bit clearer when we actually get to the end game so I can show what I mean, but we're getting pretty darn close. We'll throw the knight back. b7 is still free. It's thrown the pawn on to f5. I think I can just, oh wait, no, I can't take that pawn on b7 because if I do, it's gonna nail me with rook to b8. It's gonna sack the pawn on a7 and come down to b2, which is exactly what I would do in that position. Wow, I mean, it's cool, but ouch. Okay, pawn comes down to f5, maybe g3, we hold on to that f4 square. Pawn comes up to h5, we'll play h4, and we're kind of just trying to close up the side of the board. Pawn comes up to c5, it's looking for a pawn break over here. I'm gonna play queen to a3 to pin that pawn, meaning that if this trade ever happens, maybe I can get that queen back there and trade those off as well. Also, it's thrown a rook lift onto the board, which is quite funny. It's going to insist on not castling whatsoever. Let's go ahead and take. Knight takes back. I'll play castles because I don't think I can actually be attacked. And that way knight to d3 isn't actually check anymore. It does play rook to g6. I will say it is fascinating. It's frustrating, but it's also fascinating because I think it's looking to sacrifice here. But I don't think that would lead to more than a threefold repetition. So I'm gonna play knight to b3, and I just want to trade off as many pieces as possible. We'll take this knight. Pawn does in fact take back. I really don't have to play king to g2, but this is making me a little bit nervous. Even though I know that it doesn't lead to more than threefold, it makes me a little bit nervous anyways. Let's go queen to a4 and give check. Bot does in fact move out of the way, although I don't think it was interested in castling in the first place, if I'm being honest. Let's go b4 and force it to establish a pawn structure. Pawn comes up to f4. Oh, and okay, first of all, if I don't take, it's gonna take and it's going to plow through on my king side. If I do take, which I think I have to, it's gonna take back with the, what? Pawn to e3. I was gonna say it's gonna take back with the queen and then take on h4 because this is pinned and then look to take advantage by moving queen to h3, h4, pawn break on g3. But you know what I actually think this is? I actually think this is exactly the move that I was trying to explain a couple of turns ago, where a bot in a very long drawn out endgame cannot play at too high of a level because it's constantly trying to keep an average accuracy. So even though in that position, I'm sure that it could have taken here on f4, it could have taken on h4, it could have moved the queen down, it could have played h4, it could have broken through on g3, and it probably would have been mate in like 1 or 2 extra moves. It's going to try and make mistakes to keep its rating at 2100. So I think I can just take that, and that should be super comfy. That is toast. And as soon as I can, as soon as I can force off the queen trade, this should be pretty good eats for us. But the rook takes. Let's go king F2. f2, targeting the rook. The rook does go back. Let's take here, and we're up so many pawns that if we can just trade everything off, this is a surefire victory. Now it is targeting h4. I don't think I can hold on to that though, so I'm gonna walk the king over. It's gonna give check, sure. Let's go king to d3. It's more exposed for the king than I'd really like, and now it's looking for queen to e4, which is devastating, but I don't think I have much of a choice here. Let's go queen to c6. That's the thing though, it's that I know that queen takes e3. I was gonna say I know that my playstyle is intrinsically flawed because I tend to be too aggressive in positions that don't merit it, but I also know that it works because humans can't defend the same way that engines do, as I am making extremely clear here. Yeah, rook to c2. Am I toast already? What do I have here? King to b5, rook comes over, and then I'm getting like ladders mated. If it ladders mates me, I'm going to flip. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna flip out. If I play this, there's check. I can't return from whence I came, so I have to keep walking down. And there's ladders mate. There's no way it saw that and played into it because it knows that it's gonna get ladders mate. Okay, we're playing king d5. I can't allow a ladders mate. Okay, we'll walk the king down. Oh, and I've lost the queen. Oh my gosh, I hate this bot. I despise this bot. Okay, we're gonna try that one more time. Okay, let's hyper focus. The only thing I care about is trading off pieces, and the sooner the better. That's what I want to do. I want to trade off pieces, and the faster that I can trade off pieces, the happier a camper I'm going to be. I'm also going to force a queen trade as soon as possible because I cannot be bothered to try and stop this guy's attacks anymore. I just can't. Let's trade off the bishops as well. I'm going to develop my queen probably a little bit too early, but I'm targeting b7. Knight slides out, that's fine. We'll go knight to d2. We'll trade off as soon as we can. Let's go knight back and maybe c4 break immediately, right? We're going to counter its f5 push with a c4 break. It's going to insist, but I'm going to take. Pawn takes back. Let's take on e3. If it takes with the queen, then it's an instant queen trade. So of course it takes with the pawn. How very I want checkmatey of you. Let's go queen to g3. I'm going to insist on this queen trade, and I'm not gonna let it escape it. You know what? Let's also kingside castle. It can take my pawn. That's totally fine. But of course, it's not gonna take my pawn because it's meant to play like I do. I would not take a pawn either. I would also start an attack. Let's go pawn to f3. Pawn comes up to h4. I think I can just ignore that. Let's go queen to h3. Queenside castles into an open file. The gall on this guy. Okay, we'll take. Oh, I can't even take that. If I take, queen takes d4, drops the knight, which frankly it could have done earlier, but I don't know why it hasn't played that. Oh, because rook to f2, but then there's e3 nails these two pieces. Oh, I guess we both missed that. Actually, the bot technically couldn't have missed it. The bot probably just didn't play it because it thought that I'm not smart enough to find it, which it was right about. I did not, in fact, see that move until just now. Let's go knight to b3 and defend d4. Pawn takes. We'll take with the queen again. I really want to insist on this queen trade. Of course, it's me, so it's not going to want to do it. But now I can play check, queen to f4, and I can't believe that my greatest victory in this game or playing against this bot is going to be the fact that I managed to force a queen trade onto the board. But here we are. Okay, pawn comes up to g5. Let's go rook to f5, target these pawns. That's free, which should also mean that this is almost winning, actually. Let's go rook to g5, target g4 as well. Rook slides over. I really don't think I care, though. I'm going to take this pawn. Rook comes down to e2. I still don't think I care. I'm going to take on h3. It's going to give check just because it can. Rook slides over. I take on h3. Oh, this bot is terrible at endgames. It didn't even take on b2. Okay, luckily I'm a little less terrible. I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth quite yet because I know that I'm prone to apparently giving away free queens when the moment requires precise play. But I think I will say that I think we're doing pretty darn good here. Let's try and connect our rooks. I feel like that would be a pretty good step in the right direction. Let's start with rook to d6, actually. Rook slides over? What? Oh, if I take, is it just rook takes and then it's going to go for a draw? That's not going to happen. Pawn to h4. We're going to stop that immediately. Rook slides over again. Why can't I just take? Sure. Rook to e2, I guess. Is it just going to try and threefold me? That's pretty lame. Can I play knight c5 and look for counterplay? Check, sure. Check, sure. Check, okay. Check, well, fine, I guess. Oh, this is the lamest bot ever. No, it's gonna threefold me. Oh my goodness. Or I guess because it's a bot, it's going to try until the last minute to do something, but I have no choice but to walk back and forth here. Wow, this bot is lame. Yeah, so we're just walking back and forth, I guess. Okay, and the game does end with threefold repetition. I mean, I guess, I suppose that's some species of progress. Oh, okay, but we were way closer that time. So clearly the strategy is trade off as fast as possible, because once I don't have any pieces, apparently I don't know how to play endgames. So and I guess it's correct, because I was up like 3 pawns and I still managed to draw that somehow. Okay, so this is a very canonically accurate Tony bot. Okay, again, we're going to try and just trade everything off ASAP. Let's go queen to e2 this time. That way that f4 idea is a little bit less concrete. We're going to drop the knight back. It's probably still going to throw f5. Sure, we'll play c4. It's going to insist. We'll take on d5. Maybe knight to b3, we look for c5. Oh, that's a pawn sacrifice. Again, I know that it's playing these crazy pawn sacrifices because it thinks that I'm the type to do that. And it's right, it is. That is what I do. But I also know that there has to be a way to stop it, because the way that I play chess is not perfect. It's intentionally very, not artistic, but like very attacking and, intentionally trying to be creative. Let's try queen to f4, maybe that's not so good because queen b4. But what I was saying is, we're going to castle, but what I was saying is that I know there are ways to stop my playstyle. For sure, my playstyle is not ideal. Let's go rook to g1, actually. Pawn comes all the way down to h3. What's going to stop me from taking that pawn is the question. Absolutely nothing, apparently. Okay, let's take. Rook slides over. It's going to insist on this fork, but I have check, which I quite like here. King slides over. That's fine. Now, ooh, can I counterattack here? Let's go rook g3 first, targeting that g5 pawn. It looks a little bit suspicious there. In fact, I think I can just, hold on a sec. Hold on. Knight to f6, I think, is its idea. If I take knight to f6, forks me until tomorrow. Okay, let's go knight c5. Trade off knights first. But it's not going to want to. It's going to play knight to f6, but I'm going to insist that we trade something off. At least the queens we have to trade off. It's going to insist that we don't. Queen to c6. Now, what's stopping me from playing check? Or even better, queen e6. Queen e6, and I really don't see how you stop me from trading everything off there. And then I'm going to put in an endgame. There we go. It finally concedes that I've forced it to trade off the queens. Let's go knight to f4 to target d5, and it targets my rook. Okay, knight to e4, targets f2. I think I can slide back to g2. King comes up. Let's go knight to e2, and again, I'm just going to focus on playing slow, boring chess, which will make the engine implode, because I also don't know how to play against slow, boring chess. Perfect. We'll trade off the knight there. We'll grab the open file on c1. Rook slides over. Let's bring the king towards the center of the board. I think that's necessary. That is not even close. That's a free pawn is what that is. Again, it's really quite funny how it's trying to imitate my style of play and then does funny stuff like that. Rook to h2, takes, drops f2, so obviously that's not going to happen. Let's go. Oh, king to f1 also almost doesn't work because there's check, and I almost lose the rook, but there's rook to g1. Let's get that king out of trouble before something else arises on the board that I would not like to see. Bring the rook back so that they're connected. Again, we're playing super slow, boring chess, but again, I think this is how we defeat my bot. Yeah, it's going to desperately look for some way to create an attack, but it's going to realize that there is nothing on the board, and now we have forced yet another trade into existence, and unfortunately, this endgame is completely won. I'm saying unfortunately as if I don't despise this bot. I actually don't despise it. I think it's the coolest thing in the world that there's a bot that is programmed to play with the same stylistic choices that I do, to the point where even I'm not sure what to do against it sometimes, but I will say it is a great relief to have now entered an endgame where I'm just completely winning. Again, if you guys want to play against this bot yourself, you can go to iwantcheckmate.com. This isn't like sponsored or anything. There's no ads or accounts or anything on the site. It's literally just an archive of all of the bots that I've played on the channel, since you guys ask me all the time how you guys can play against them yourselves. And now you can play against me yourself and hopefully dismantle me. We get rook to e6 check, and this is just game over. This is history. We just advance all of these pawns, and of course, I'm going to have to give it a very specific type of checkmate in order to justify my suffering against my own bot. Because I know that you guys saw just as well as I did when it was walking my king up on the left side of the board. It wanted me to play king to a5 to give me a very specific type of checkmate. So let's just push all of these pawns into its face. Hopefully we don't get 50 move ruled. That would be devastating. But I don't think we will. We'll just advance everything as far as we can. Attack that rook. Rook slides over. We're going to force this pawn to promotion. Push it again. and promote into a queen. It's going to give a check until the very last dying breath. We're going to either trade off the rooks, or you're going to get mated here in a couple more moves. We'll advance the pawn. It just sacrifices the rook. See, we played boring chess for so long that the engine just imploded. It had no idea what to do anymore. King goes to the center of the board because it thinks that it's going to dodge a very special type of checkmate, and it will not actually do that. We're going to force it onto the board. We're going to force it into existence, and this bot will not be able to say otherwise about it. Okay, let's slide this queen over. It's not stalemate. This is safe. Check. Very nice. We now play queen to h2 check. There's only one place for the king to go. And with that, we get a very special type of checkmate invented by the real Tony in 2024. We do, in fact, get ladder's mate. And with that, we do, in fact, defeat my evil bot clone. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I thought this would be a good sort of fun break from the Stockfish series, and I'm also going to do a rating climb tomorrow, continuing the Martin M. Martin series. But then we'll go back to the Stockfish. I just want to keep it fresh with all sorts of different content on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.